Oh, yes, we're back. It's Chasing Green Arrows. The international break is almost over. We're counting down to game week 12. We've had a little break. Dean, how have you
Oh,
been, mate?
I'm fed up with breaks. Like, I don't want any breaks. Like, it makes my life so much harder, like having the breaks. Yeah, I'm okay. But I am, so bored of international football. So, yeah, looking forward, mate, to now a good run at domestic football, a transfer window, the proper stuff that we actually love about football, and rekindling the passion. So, yeah, I'm all set, mate. How about you? Are you all ready?
I think so. I've been putting it off, to be fair. Like, we're not going to dwell on our game week 11 teams. That was forever ago. We'll have a quick look at the end of the show, what our sort of points. But yeah, it's more the same, just rubbish. Like, to the point where I went into the international break, I genuinely didn't check my rank, and I was recording a podcast earlier, and on the pod I was asked about my rank, and I was like, "Oh God, I need to check." And for the first time since game week 11 started, because I knew it wasn't a good one for me, I captained Dom Solanke. Oh, captaincy has been a bane of my life this season. Like, I've had Haaland for all those big misses, triple captaincy a lot. And then I've gone Solanke. And in the meantime, everyone that owns Salah for the last 3 weeks has been having Salah, and he's been scoring goals for fun. So we'll talk about captaincy later, but it really does make or break your game week. Like, I had a good game week other than that, but I finished on a red arrow because captaincy didn't hit. And captaincy is so big. Let us know your thoughts on captaincy, how it's gone for you guys this season.
Yeah.
How about
That
you, mate?
Solanke
How's
was a killer,
captaincy been?
mate. It was
Oh,
just a
he
killer.
scored with his hand, didn't he?
I don't even want him anymore already. I'm already over him. I want
I think I'm
Isak.
the same. Yeah. Do you know what? I've just been writing my Gimme Sport article as 5 minutes ago before we came on, and the player I'm currently writing on is Isak. He has got 4 of his next 6 fixtures are against. Let me just read my notes here. 4 of his next 6 fixtures are against West Ham, Palace, Leicester, and Ipswich. That is some 4 fixtures. Like, he could score big in all 4 of those fixtures.
Yeah.
He's had 20 points in his last 2 game weeks.
In the members area, we both did a little video this week just to drop and to keep people in tune with what we were thinking. Obviously, you've had a little trip over to America in between these two game weeks, haven't you, mate? You can talk about that in a bit. But I was like, I've just wildcarded, and I'm already sick of my team. And like at the moment, like my front 3 is Solanke, Welbeck, and Wood, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it, especially for this game week. Solanke's got City away, Wood's got Arsenal away, Welbeck, well, he wasn't going to play anyway. He's got Bournemouth away. So I've got 2 transfers, and I'm like, honestly, I might get Solanke and Wood out.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you on Solanke. Like, that 16-pointer Solanke got the other week versus Villa, which he got those 16 points pretty much all in the last half an hour of that football match. That has done a lot of heavy lifting, that game. Like, pretty much he's blanked every other game of the season. Like, he's blanked against teams like Ipswich, and he blanked against Leicester. He blanked against Crystal Palace. Like, teams where you fancy Solanke doesn't deliver, and then he goes and gets 16 points versus Villa. But I'm with you. Although I would say Man City away, of course, it's a tough fixture.
Sure,
but if the way City are defending against Lisbon and against Brighton, like, Brighton had so many big chances, didn't they? Like, I kind of fancy Spurs to score.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a valid point. I just don't know what we get from Tottenham week on week at this stage, and even it doesn't necessarily mean that Solanke's the goal scorer. Like,
true, he hasn't been.
He hasn't always been that guy. Mark just said, "Don't tell me you two finally met in the flesh all the way over in the US." No, we were nowhere near each other. Still, we were nowhere near each other.
So far,
yeah.
What's the time difference between San Diego and Miami? It must be like
3 hours. I think.
Is it only 3? Oh, is it only 3? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I was talking to someone about the difference in climate between Sandy, because I was talking to someone I met who lives in San Diego, Chelsea fan randomly, and he was saying the San Diego weather is so much better than the Miami weather because it's similar sort of temperature, but in terms of the type of heat, he was like, no, it's quite dry heat in San Diego, like peak Mediterranean, like good Mediterranean heat in a way.
It literally is
but Miami is like.
We don't
sticky,
have humidity here.
Humid.
It's not humid here at all.
Is it not?
No, not at all, mate.
I didn't know that about San Diego.
Yeah,
that's why. In general, I guess.
Yeah, it's the best kept secret in America. I don't know why this place is not totally overcrowded and everyone's coming on all their summer holidays here.
Yeah.
it's kind of paradise, mate. It's always sunny and it doesn't get humid. It's crazy. But yeah,
humidity in Miami is rank. Like it's
I
the
mean,
weather's great in a way, but then you go, oh, it's just so sticky, and then they get them on like the heavy rain and
storms they get. The humidity that comes with the heat, like all the stuff I see of Florida generally, to be honest, weather-wise, I'm just like, there's so much off-putting. Like here, we don't get storms. We don't have all of that kind of stuff. I'll say that my window will probably crash through in a minute. We'll get us a how was America during the election? It's fine if you completely ignore it.
Well, mate, can I ask you more about America? Because I've always thought your fashion game is pretty strong. Like, I come on these streams wearing my dog walking clothes effectively, and I spend all day at home. Therefore, all my nice clothes have kind of been and gone since COVID. Like, I feel like I just wear the same rubbish in the house, so I don't leave the house. But I always think, whether you're leaving the house or not, you've always got a good mix of hoodies and sports tops for these streams. Right. Since you've been in America, I've noticed a couple of hoodies. This one in particular, like you've been shopping, right?
This isn't new, actually. This is an old one.
Is it not? Oh, damn.
It's actually really hard to dress here. I'm having a real trouble with it because, like, nobody really gets dressed.
Yeah.
You just like. Yeah, like the most expensive thing I've bought since I got here is a pair of tracksuit bottoms. Like they're like these like leisure wear, whatever they call it. And that's what everyone wears. And I'm like, I don't really dress like this, but I totally get it. Like I wear shorts almost every single day. I think I've worn jeans 4 times in 4 months. It's really tough. And it's actually cooling down a bit now. So we are actually heading into some cooler weather where I will be wearing like normal clothes. So I am actually looking forward to like wearing some of my nice stuff again. But at the moment, it's all just like, hoodies and stuff.
Mate, Scott has got to have comment of the day so far. Janny and Dean turning into Trinny and Susanna.
I think we've got I reckon we've got a separate podcast we can start doing, mate.
Yeah, do you know what? Speaking of fashion, the t-shirt I'm wearing today is wicked. Like this is a proper retro Nike Italia top. Like they've not been in Nike since forever. And it's literally, I saw it online on some like vintage website. It's like from the 90s. And I miss Italy being Nike. Really miss Italy being Nike. Did you see Italy lost to France last night? Luca Dean got player of the match. And I checked his FPL price. He's 4.6 or 4.7.
I think he's been overlooked quite a bit, yeah.
He's proper. I think he's the most informed left back in the league this season in the Prem.
Yeah, and so advanced. So his position is weird, and and it affects Cash on the other side a lot of the time. And obviously Villa have fallen totally out of form, so I don't know actually what's happened there. But I definitely think at that price point, he's a good one. Mark says Maatsen started in the last one for Aston Villa, so that's worth keeping an eye on. But yeah, mate, so I'm trying to now get my head back around my team and remembering the changes that I've made. Generally, I'm looking at it and I'm fine with what I've got in front of me. It's just these forward positions and who we can actually trust going into these next game weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be the kind of the Christmas time of year, like the festive season, is the time of year where you have to kind of go, every single player I buy, are they robust enough to play every game I need them to play? Because we do see injuries because of the mass congestion. We do see rotation because of the congestion. So when you buy in players, just bear that in mind. But obviously, there's always your stalwarts. Like a player like Bruno and Salah and Haaland, you don't obviously worry. You'd think Colwill, for example, for Chelsea, if the flag comes off him, and question from Shiraz, Colwill or Fofana, I'd say Colwill edges it because of Fofana's injury problems in the past. But also, I think a little bit of goal threat maybe for Colwill. There's obviously loads of players going into this deadline flagged who are probably internationally break flagged. Like Palmer's going to be fine. He's trained today. He's flagged. Saka probably going to be fine. We don't know. Trent isn't though. And Ben White is out for like a couple of months. So Timber at 5.5 could be an option. But most of the flagged players, I think, will probably be fine. What do we know on Saka, Dean? Because against Chelsea, he came off and
he'll play. That's what we know about Saka.
Saka plays every game. And Arteta pretty much makes him pull out of international duty all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So I just completely ignore that. Saka's going to play. But I guess a deeper question comes from Sushant. If you can pick only one between Saka and Isak for the next 4 or 5 game weeks, who would you pick? Which is a good question. I mean, it wouldn't seem like a like-for-like comparison, obviously, but like if you need one of those players, it's probably Isak, right?
I think so. And you save a healthy amount of money there. That's like, what, 1.5 savings? So, yeah, I think Isak. The problem is with forwards is, whilst I really like Isak, he's a funny price point in terms of team structure. If you're a Haaland seller, sure, you can move to an Isak. If you, however, own the budget forwards, like Chris Wood's popular, Cunha's become popular, João Pedro's going to become a thing, Welbeck, like there's loads of good budget forwards. And therefore, how do you find the money to go up to an Isak? If you're a Dom Solanke seller, then finding the million shouldn't be too difficult. So I think if you own Solanke or own Haaland, get into Isak, sure. But there's a lot of good cheap forwards in this game at the minute as well.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal's next game is Forest at home. And typically we would be like all over that. But Forest, one of the best defensive teams around, like they're having a great season. What do we expect from Arsenal in that fixture, especially on the back of an international break? That is actually really hard to know.
I expect a clean sheet. But I don't know. But I don't know if I can expect goals. You're right. Like, and Forest went to Anfield this season and won 1-0. Like Forest do the park the bus better than most. Like Forest at home against Newcastle struggled a bit because that's come and play. But on the road against Arsenal, Nuno's what he does, isn't it?
It is. So yeah, there's a lot of contemplating to do. And talking of contemplating, Sushant says he's also contemplating moving from Son and Vardy to Rodgers and Isak, which I can totally see why you might be thinking about that one, mate. British says there's a lot of fake flags around, not too worried. They are fake flags, aren't they? Because these are from basically 2 weeks ago. They've either been picked up a knock in internationals or they had a knock before the internationals. So a lot of them are redundant by this point. And over the next couple of days, we should see some of these flags start to disappear. On my team right now, Cole Palmer and Burmo both got flags next to them.
Is Burmo flagged?
He's flagged, isn't he?
Did he even go off in? Did he play 90 or did he go off injured last game?
Let's have a look.
He must have gone off injured.
It says knock 75%.
What were his minutes last game week?
90.
Oh. That's weird.
Let us know in the comments if you know what was wrong with that.
Maybe he pulled out the Cameroon squad or something. But again, like that could have been that they're already qualified and it's just a rest. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it says Sally says Visser is also flagged. Mate, that was my big regret of the last window.
Yeah, we both liked him, didn't we?
Literally spent a few minutes, made a point of bringing up Visser, being like, hang on, we haven't talked about this guy.
Yeah.
Talked about his XG, talked about the quality of his chances. And then
he smashed it.
it.
And we were telling Big Man, go Visser over Raul Jimenez. Jimenez in 2 weeks hasn't.
And he was telling me to get João Pedro in as well instead of Welbeck. And I didn't listen to him on that because I thought, João Pedro's not back this week. Yes, he is.
Yeah, he got 19 minutes, but still got the points. And João Pedro, he's only had, I think, 4 starts this season, and he's got something like 4 returns. Like he is 5.4 million. João Pedro, he is someone Big Man will be buying ASAP because he ticks all the boxes. He's on pens. He's the talisman in the team, and I must admit, I'm with him on that. I didn't agree on the Raul Jimenez shout, but I massively agree on the João Pedro one. And Big Man's been calling him out. Said move to him early. And
he has.
What about Bruno, mate? What do you make of that? Because that was a decision that went in favour. Did you go there as well?
Yeah.
So both of us were hot on Bruno last week, and he delivered for Big Man as well, of course.
Wow. He didn't though, did he? That's the problem. He owed him, and at that point, Big Man had wasted 9 weeks on him or whatever it was.
I tweeted something like, Bruno's just got me the same amount of goals in 19 minutes as what he's got Big Man all season.
That's very cruel, very cruel. But it's true. Obviously, Man United are now a talking point. Amorim getting to work on this team and going to Ipswich at the weekend. So I find that very interesting. I've got 2 Man United players in my team for the weekend. I've got Mazraoui as well as Bruno Fernandes.
What do you make of that fixture then? Because Ipswich away is very different to Ipswich at home. But just because it's new manager bounce and the way now United have scoring goals versus Leicester, are you confident on that? Like, is that a fixture we can go buy United player for, or even captain Bruno Fernandes for?
I wouldn't captain Bruno Fernandes, but
if you don't own Salah,
it's a nice way to start, isn't it? It's a nice way to start. I mean, once you're settling into a new regime, Like, it's not going to be an easy win. I'm not saying that at all. I wouldn't give Ipswich that disrespect, because I think Ipswich are actually having a good enough season that they've got a decent chance of staying up. But at the same time, I don't think that Ipswich are good enough to stop Man United. If you look at Ipswich's last few home games, they drew 1-1 with Ipswich. They lost 2-0 to Everton.
Drew 1-1 with Ipswich.
Sorry, they drew 1-1 with Leicester. They drew 1-1 with Leicester. They drew with it and lost to Everton. Drew with Villa. They drew with Fulham. Like, their home form's not great. So this is a great opportunity for United to go and sit their stall out and get a narrow win, basically. And I think that they will do that.
Oh, mate, quiz question for you and the chat. The answer isn't Ipswich, but who has conceded the most amount of goals this season on 27? Guesses in the chat, guys. Get your teams in. Who do you reckon, Dean? Most amount of goals this season conceded. I'm just looking at the worst defences.
I mean, I'm going to say Southampton, but I don't know if it is. If it's not Southampton or Ipswich, then it's Wolves.
Let's get to see a few guesses. Oh, yeah. Chatter on Brentford, Flecken, Arsenal. No, yeah. Southampton. It is Wolves. Wolves 27, Ipswich, Brentford 22, Southampton, Leicester 21. So that's 27. But then when you go expected goals conceded, like the worst for XGC, which is the metric I prefer than goals. Many will say that's wrong, Gianni. No, for me, it's all about the expected. The XGC, the worst team in the league, isn't Wolves, who are actually fourth worst. It's Ipswich. Ipswich 24.64. So Ipswich and then Southampton and then Leicester. So the three newly promoted teams, to me, based on the XGC, it's bang on. They are the weakest defences. So if Ipswich are the weakest defence and they're about to play a Man United team with new manager Bounce and Bruno, I don't know. It does feel... Bruno's also suspended for Portugal's game. I think they play tonight because he picked up a yellow card in game 1. So again, he gets like the whole week off. Did you see his goal as well against Poland?
No.
Oh, mate, it's a rocket from 30 yards. It's a beauty.
Mate, he's finding his rhythm, isn't he? He's finding his rhythm. So that is interesting. And by the way, we've got a Bluesky vote running at the moment just to see who uses Bluesky. Most people just saying, what is Bluesky? 82% of people not using Bluesky. I haven't checked it out yet either, to be fair. I would love to leave Twitter. I'm not going to lie. I hate Twitter. Unfortunately, I literally have to use it. I think it's part of my terms of like my agreement with Give Me Sport is I have to use Twitter to tweet some of my stories. But it's just, I just don't like it as an environment at all. And now there's obviously people are leaving Twitter. I've noticed that I think I lost a couple of hundred followers actually in the last couple of days. I noticed with people jumping ship. But there's a lot of people that got to jump here to get from Twitter to a new platform. And obviously Threads tried it and didn't take off. Yeah. Are you on Bluesky? Have you tried it?
As of 4 or 5 hours ago, I'm on Bluesky, and I've been sort of a bit of I've switched off to social media pretty much in the last week. I've had a bit of a detox. So with that in mind, other than Instagram, which doesn't count, but other than like, I couldn't believe it. I was checked out Bluesky. There's FPL accounts that have got like on there in the last couple of weeks who are on like, Ben Crellin's on, like, I don't know, 6,000 followers already. Like, there is a huge audience of FPL accounts on Bluesky already.
Right.
And so I was shocked. Like, I didn't quite realize how many have ditched Twitter in the last week alone. Probably international break, good timing. Obviously, the Trump effect. It's really nice. There's no bots. It's not full of hate. It's not full of ads. It's not full of a rubbish For You page where it's just full of, like, porn and racist stuff. Like, it's a weird platform for, like, it has completely changed.
It's become such a weird platform. Like, even just finding the stuff you want to read is hard. Like, Sally says loves the FPL community on Twitter though, and like, if you have got your feed to such a point that that's all you're seeing, then that's great and you're winning and that's fine. You can stay there. But because of the split it gets for you and following, sometimes you don't even realize for the first couple of minutes you're not even reading your own feed. You're just reading random stuff they're throwing in front of your eyes. And even you get to your own feed and there's an ad every 3, even though like I pay for the lower tier, £10 a month, whatever it is. So I'm still getting ads and stuff. Like, the weird thing as well, like I've got, I don't know how many followers. I've got 93,000 or something followers, and I'll tweet, and because I'm not like in the algorithm as they want me to be, it'll be like my tweet might be seen by 20,000 people, might be seen by 4,000 people.
Yeah.
But why? Like what? Like I don't have. Why am I having to follow your rules to get to the people that I don't know? It's been very annoying. So I'd love this to be a big switch over to something more simple and back to the early days of Twitter. And it's just not. You're never going to take it away, right? Like Twitter's Twitter, X is X, whatever it's called. Like it's whichever format of it you want, that is going to become and remain the leading platform. But I'd love it if something else could get some proper pickup that Threads just never managed.
Yeah, I didn't get a Threads, mate. I've barely posted other than like I've done a few posts today and I've said, hey guys, come follow me on Bluesky. I've posted this on Twitter and a few have retweeted me on Bluesky or whatever you call it. Honestly, there's definitely a market there, unlike any other platform I've seen. Like I've never felt like Instagram's right for FPL, which is why I've never really pushed it. TikTok is there, but for a much younger generation, which goes over my head. Yeah. But in the few hours I've been online and a few tweets, 713 followers, like clearly it's there. I think everyone's I think Bluesky is going to be massive for the FPL space anyway, maybe not for every space, but the FPL community are switching off to Twitter. Interesting, this poll, though, suggests only 20% are on Bluesky, which shows the growth potential in Bluesky. If already you can get to 600 plus followers in a few hours, like I reckon they're there for it. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, like loads of people don't even know what it is yet. And that might be as well in this football community because we've kind of been switched off for the last week and we haven't been checking our feeds as much as we might have before. So, yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. I'm obviously going to have to look into whether I do it or not ahead of the transfer window. So I will consider it too.
Yeah. So far, the big media outlets aren't on there. Other than I think ITV News got an account today, but like official FPL don't have an account yet.
Really?
BBC, and I'm like, oh, is that a matter of days, or is there some like due diligence process they feel like they need to go through before they jump on board? I don't know.
I saw the Guardian like quit Twitter and do just like weird.
Oh, really?
Come to our website if you want to read about us. Fair play. Fair play. Let's do a couple of questions. Shiraz, Fofana or Colwill as the best Chelsea defender? Fofana won't play any Conference League games.
Conference group stage, I think maybe he's been left out. But I just feel like with the congestion, Colwill's more robust, although he is currently flagged. But I'd go Colwill just. Goal threat is not much between them. Maybe Colwill edges it, but I'd stick with Colwill. I mean, the fixture congestion this December isn't as bad as in years gone by, is it, Dean? Like, I feel like the Premier League have removed one round of fixtures between like Christmas and New Year's. That period for most teams isn't as Ramo as it used to be.
Yeah, it's true.
There's the EFL Cup coming up as well with semi-quarterfinals. I think it is like a week before Christmas, but Chelsea aren't in that, so you know.
No, exactly. So Chelsea, obviously, Chelsea got it easy on other teams because they are in the Conference League, and it's not as hard as Champions League. You don't have to worry so much, and they're now out the Carabao, so they haven't got that on their plates, and so they're kind of in the situation where they're just focusing properly on one game a week. Every now and then they'll have two that they have to worry about, but not very often. And even when they do, it's not that tricky. Like they've got like Southampton wedged in, I think, in a midweek coming up. And then when it comes to Christmas, I know they've got Fulham on Boxing Day. Who's the one before? Everton, yeah. Everton and Ipswich, either side of Fulham on Boxing Day for Chelsea. So they've got a nice run of games here. And would I trust Chelsea assets in defence? Still, not really. Not really. Like, that's probably not what I would want. But there probably is a good argument to be made that you can get more than one Chelsea asset now beyond Cole Palmer.
Yeah, mate, I've been saying it for weeks. I really, really like Pedro Neto because he's become first choice winger. Like, I know he's been starting on the left, Madueke on the right, but the last 3 games alone, we've seen Neto get 90. Madueke always gets subbed around hour, 70 minutes. And when that happens, it's usually Mudryk comes on, but we've seen Pedro Neto move to the right-hand side, which is showing me he is Maresca's first choice winger. He's getting 90. Madueke is not. He's also had a goal and an assist in the last 3. Remember that amazing assist for the through ball from Palmer and then the Jackson goal. And then obviously scored against Arsenal where you get, I think, 3 bonus points as well. He's like 6.2, 6.3 million. Like the Chelsea fixtures are insane.
Yeah, exactly. So there is, I mean, you never thought I would be considering Nicholas Jackson, but things have turned around so well for him that I actually don't see him as a bad asset at all at this point.
Most improved Chelsea player, or most improved striker in the league?
Most improved striker in the league, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Do they fully trust him that he will be the guy? I don't know. But if you're Christopher Nkunku right now, you're not getting in the team, and it's basically because of Nicholas Jackson, right?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Sally's talking about Sancho and was asking questions earlier about Neto versus Sancho in terms of getting in that Chelsea lineup. You're a Chelsea fan. What do you see happening for this first game back? Obviously, it's Leicester, so it's quite a friendly fixture for Chelsea. They would expect to win this one. Neto, a completely different outlet to what Jadon Sancho gives you. Which one do you think will be a good asset in FPL the coming weeks?
Yeah, I just like Maresca when he plays with Maresca's, because he doesn't use the fullbacks really to attack much out wide. The reliance on the wide men staying wide and being a bit old school, which often means getting to the byline and crossing with the foot on that side. So the outside crosses, not the cutting inside crosses. And we see that a lot with Madueke, and Neto is both footed, so he can do that on the left or right. I just feel like Neto is more of that old school in behind fast winger that Maresca wants, like he has with Madueke. Sancho isn't that player. Now, Sancho is a good option and a different option, but most of the time, Maresca wants to play with that ball in behind, as we saw for that amazing Jackson goal a couple of weeks ago. That's the sort of ball Neto can latch onto, which someone like Sancho can't. So, yeah, like obviously Palmer's a great option. I feel like he's a must-have for the run because the fixtures are so good. Jackson's a great shout. Neto's there. They're the only three I think I would look at. I think Madueke's on borrowed time. He's been really good for England as well, but he often does get an early sub. And if he has a couple of bad games, he will be the first wide man out the team, not Neto, in my opinion. I still don't think I touched the Chelsea defence, even with these good games. Like a lot of looking at Colwill or Fofana. Honestly, if I'm spending that sort of money, you can get Lewis Hall for 4.4. I think the Newcastle defence is probably a bit better than the Chelsea defence. And Lewis Hall offers a bit more upside. Like you've got to spend 5 million on a Cucurella. Just go Lewis Hall for 4.4. Like, would you say he's the best value defender in the four? Obviously, Ain't Nori's like 4.7, 4.8 and got all the upside. But if you're Dean, a bit similar price. But if you're under 4.5 or 4.5, like Kirkez is 4.5.
Yeah, I've got Kirkez and Mazraoui in my two 4.5.
Nice. Is he gone up to 4.6 Mazraoui now? I think he's had a bit of love.
Has he?
Or is he 4.5?
Yeah, he has actually. Yeah, I've got him at 4.5, but yeah, he is 4.6 now. Yeah. He's selected by 14% now.
Highest owned United player, I think.
Is he? Kirkez is still only selected by 1.5% of people. They've got Brighton at home this weekend, which that's a pretty mad one, isn't it? Goal says, I can't believe we exist in a world that Haaland is scoring a hat-trick and going down in price. Yeah, I mean, I keep forgetting I haven't got Haaland anymore, by the way. And I really didn't.
What do you make of him this week? Because he could play against Dragerson and Ben Davis at centre-back.
I know, exactly. I don't know, because it really depends on who's around Haaland, to be honest. Like, it depends how much legwork he's got to put in. So I'm interested to end up seeing the team news from Man City, if we get proper team news, and finding out if Mateus Nunes is up there on the left flank again, or if they've actually got Doku back now. So things like that, I think, will make me think twice about whether I regret not having Haaland. I can't do anything about it at this point. I can't get him back anytime soon. So I'm just hoping for the best, or should I say the worst for him?
Yeah, okay. Do you think if you own both, Haaland's over... Is captaincy even a debate this week? Like, is it just Salah? He's had a couple of weeks off. It's Southampton, is away. Or can we look at a Palmer, a Haaland, a Bruno? I mean, I have to, because I'm not going to own Salah. And I don't know who's the second best option. Maybe we'll do a poll, just a simple poll. Are you captaining Salah this game week? Yes or no? And I'm sure if you own him, it will be a yes. But let's just do, are you captaining Salah in game week 12? Yes or no? I'm keen to see the numbers there. I expect it's going to be over 50%. Are you going to be one of them, Dean?
Yeah, I think I'll captain Salah. I've got the armband on him at the moment. Even if I change my forward, I guess Isak could potentially be an option. based on the fact that he does seem pretty trustworthy. But I think Salah's got a good fixture. Most people are going to be captaining him. At the time when I haven't got Haaland, it would probably be a bit silly to go and do anything else beyond that. So yeah, Salah for me is the most obvious one. Palmer's really difficult, like, to know when he's getting his points at the moment. I'm not saying I expect Leicester to lock him up, but he has been locked up a few times this season.
Yeah.
And Chelsea found other ways to play without him having too much influence. So it's one of those where on one hand, you're thinking Palmer could get a hat-trick in this game. On the other hand, you're like, but if they do just decide to do a job on him in an attempt to just shut up his control, then he might just end up with a 2-pointer. So that's a bit... that's probably be off-putting enough for me, to be honest, on Palmer in a game especially that is not at home. So for an away fixture, Mo Salah, Southampton, yeah, I'm happy enough with it.
Oh, the poll is interesting here. 73% of our audience, Dean. That is massive. 3 in every 4 managers are going to be captaining Salah, which means they all own him. Like, for poor little me, like, Christ, that is scary. His EO is going to be massive.
But what is his... I think he's his best at captain choice, but I don't know what I expect him to get from the game. That's the other point.
He's not even flying it. Like, he's obviously playing well, but he's like his points are coming late in games, like, and that errors like from the opposition, like the goal against Brighton was a Stupinan howler.
Yeah, and so his biggest return was in the last game against Aston Villa and in the first game of the season against Ipswich. He got 14 points in both those games. So that's his biggest return we've seen. So it's... Oh, sorry, no, it's not. He got 17 against Man United. I'm wrong. But, we're not... This isn't, like, incredible, like what we're seeing from Salah. So it's not that much to be missing out on. And you can definitely make it up from players that are cheaper priced. He's still almost 13 million in the game, Salah. So there is that. But yeah, Michael says Salah's flying on bonus points, which is something you all know all about, given that you monitor them week in, week out. So maybe that's the one thing with it. If he does get his goal, his assist, he gets the 3 bonus anyway, and there's a captain choice that gives you like the extra 6 points that makes at the moment a massive difference in your point score on week because people aren't scoring big points.
Yeah. Mate, 37 minutes into the show, and we've not said like. Now, that's kind of a conscious decision. I want to say it's slightly less because I take people's feedback. I do ram it down people's throats at times. But Christ, if you don't ask, you don't get. There are nearly 300 of you watching, and only 1 in 6 of you have hit the like button.
Yeah, well, people are so absorbed by the content, mate. They can't take their eyes off it for a second to just press the like. That's the problem. Here you go. We'll just stay quiet for a second. Press like. There you go. Let's see if it works.
CH has nailed it. Like the blooming stream, guys. And look, we made the chat, I think about 10 minutes ago. I saw it flash up in our chat saying subscribers only mode. So again, if you're wondering why you can't add a comment, we ask you to simply subscribe and then you can add to the agenda. Every single comment in the chat is read. Any channel members are flashed up on the screen. And even though they're not always taken into account in terms of agenda, they're all read by me and Dean, and some of the best ones we reference. So guys, add to the chat. We love your participation in these shows. Make sure you like, and please do, if you're new around here, hit the subscribe button. We'd love you to come on and subscribe. If you're one of those lurkers out there, I met a lurker in Miami. He came up to me and went, "Oh mate, I'm a big fan. I'm a lurker." And I was like, "Oh, I know you watch CJ because we only use the term lurkers on CJ." And he was like, "I watch every single one of your shows." And then he showed me his rank. He's at 27k, and his wife is world number 1 in the Cayman Islands. Sorry, not world number 1 in the Cayman Islands, and her overall rank was 2,000.
Wow!
So both of them, yeah. And so if you're watching, Pat and Mike, hello to you and welcome to the CJ family. Get an account and get some comments in the chat. We love our lurkers and we love seeing our lurkers come into the chat. So hello to you guys.
I can't work out if that means they've ignored all of our advice that they've heard all season to get or whether we've somehow managed to help them. Yeah.
Honestly, like their teams are really good. Pat was like, I only pick players that are nice guys. Like I pick on, and she's 2,000 in the world. I was like, unbelievable.
Oh my God, I love that strategy.
Yeah. So no Man United players in her team. Yeah.
Mazraoui's a nice guy.
Yeah, mate. So Mazraoui, the highest Man United player, purely because of the Moroccan contingent. I think like there's a huge fan base in the play FPL from Egypt because of Salah, Morocco because of Mazraoui. So I thought that was really interesting. He was the highest Man United player because there's so many Moroccans that play FPL.
He is good value, though. He is good value.
He is good.
And I think when people are now thinking of how Amorim's supposed to play football, like how he's supposed to set up, what you might get out of Mazraoui is going to be better even than what you've seen so far. And he's been a good player. He's been a good signing so far. But he's going to be a much better signing now that they've got an actual system of football to play. And it's going to be more entertaining. And it should actually be a bit more secure, you would imagine, as well. I don't know how long it's going to take Amorim to implement everything. It's obviously not going to be done in 5 days. But yeah, I think Mazraoui is a very dependable choice, and I'm happy to have him on board, to be honest, mate.
Oh, if you could pick one of Jackson or Isak, who would it be? Let us know in the chat. I like them both. I don't actually think I'm going to be buying either, and that's purely because it's not working for my structure because I'm keeping Haaland. But what I would say about Jackson is, as good as he's been, I just feel like if he does have 2 or 3 bad games, and we haven't seen 2 or 3 bad games in a row yet, so he's always started, but there will and could become a time where Maresca has a bit of pressure to go, you've had 3 shockers, I'm putting Nkunku in. Because he's got that pressure on the bench, Isak can have 3 bad games, he's going to start and play every minute. Do you feel that with Jackson? Is that a fair observation? Even if it's maybe not missing out starts, but definitely suffer from early subs if he's playing badly.
Yeah, obviously, because they've got so many people to try and keep happy anyway, or try to change games. There is always that threat. I think they're trying to give him every chance, though. I don't feel like he's been victimized in terms of substitutions at the moment. I haven't got that feel. And I think actually his connectivity has been quite important at times in the way that Chelsea have been able to flow. So they're obviously trying to make this work. There is always going to be talk of Chelsea going out and buying a new number 9. And that's not going anywhere at the moment. But I know that they're still putting faith in Nicholas Jackson over this busy month or so as they head towards January. And at the moment, it doesn't look like they'll be signing another forward. So he's obviously keeping them happy. And at the same time, you're hearing all this noise about Nkunku. And that's because his agent will be like, hang on, why are we not getting any games? Why am I not getting any minutes for my guy here? And what's happening next year? Where's he fitting in?
Mate, Chelsea's last 4 Premier League wins against Newcastle, Brighton, West Ham and Bournemouth. Jackson's played 78, 63, 78 and 77. So when they're winning games, he'll come off around 75 minutes. But when they're drawing or losing, he'll often play 90. So against Arsenal, 1-1 draw, 87 minutes. Man United, 1-1 draw, 90 minutes. When they were losing to Liverpool 2-1, he played 90. So what we're seeing is when the game's there to be won, Maresca won't sub him. He'll chuck Nkunku on it as well. But when they are winning, he won't stay on, which is a bit of an issue in FPL because when you're winning a game, you're more likely to score that late goal. And we see Mo Salah constantly getting points. Bruno used to do it at Man United. All the points they get in the last 10 minutes when they're 2-1 up, the other team is chasing and they go and win 3-1 and it's Salah and Bruno on the score sheet. Jackson isn't going to benefit from those points.
Yeah, that's a good point. And those points really add up.
They do.
And that's what you do get with someone like Haaland, who is going to be on the pitch all the time. And obviously, Man City aren't going to keep losing every week. So once that does turn and they do get back to having their squad available and they do get those other wins, he's going to be on the pitch to get when you get into the last 5-10 minutes of a game or an added time and he gets a penalty and then he knocks in another one because the other team was so deflated. Those are the moments when it can cost you for not having Haaland. So yeah, that might be where Nick Jackson lets you down. But how much owned is Nico Jackson at the moment? Because I still don't feel like that many people trust him as an asset.
Yeah, he's 16.9%. So he's not, outside of
bad.
Cole Palmer, I think he's the most owned outside of Cole Palmer. Cole Will's at 3. The Chelsea defenders, no one's got. Oh, I think maybe Sanchez must be quite high. Yeah, he's 11, Sanchez. So no, Jackson's still got quite a bit of love because his points, he's ticked over nicely. He's on 60 points. There's only a couple of forwards in the game, I think, that have more points. Yeah, Welbeck, Wood, and Haaland are the only three that have outscored him. Nico Jackson's got more points than Ollie Watkins. Even players that have been scoring goals like Delap and Raul Jimenez and Isak and Havertz, he's got more points than all of those guys. So yeah, definitely worth considering. It's just those early subs that concern me a little bit. They're your easy points when you're already up in a game and you go and score late, and he won't get them. Guys, I want to do a bit of a captaincy poll outside of Salah this week, just to help me out. So if you could only captain one of Bruno, Haaland, or Palmer this week, where are you guys at? Like, just give me if you can only captain one, who would you captain this week? So I want to talk about some alternative Salah choices, but also let's just have a look at the fixture ticker, because we have prepared a fixture ticker, which would be useful to see for the next few weeks. And we can look at this ticker and see what premiums we feel like you absolutely need. Palmer, Haaland, I think Bruno, Saka, Spurs players. Let's just have a look at the ticker to go where we're at, because you can't have them all. You can't have a good player from all those clubs, and the ticker will help us establish where we think we want them. And we'll get that poll up as soon as possible as well, guys. So we can see the ticker here. Let's just take Arsenal at the top. Dean, how do you feel on Arsenal at the moment? Like, do you look at the fixtures here and think you need an Arsenal attacker, or can we go without for a while?
I mean, it would be nice to have an Arsenal attacker. I think those 5 games, when you generalise them and you consider how they're going to come out of that spell, it's going to be pretty positive. Obviously, Saka would still be the best one to have. But I don't think Havertz is a bad shout for that spell, if I'm totally honest. Like, I know he's at a really awkward price point, and that's why a lot of people can't quite justify it. But I think that's where I go. Obviously, Odegaard back in the mix now as well as an option, and a lot of people like to go with Odegaard. I find him just the way that Arsenal can now attack. I think I said it before.
Helps Havertz, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does help him, because you get that different angle as well on the ball that comes in. And it's like Saka will try to get to the byline and get the ball across, or he'll try to come back if he can, if the first ball isn't on. But now you already see it straight away. He'll just check back. Odegaard will be hanging around on the corner of the box, and the first time ball, and he'll put it in there for somebody to head in, and it'll be Havertz that makes the most of those opportunities. So I do feel like they are things that need to be considered, and those games could be 5 wins out of 5, really, couldn't it? I mean, there's no reason why it shouldn't be. Obviously, a couple of them will be trickier than they perhaps look. But I think if as an Arsenal fan, I'll be looking at those 5 games and thinking, like, this is 5 wins. We get back in the title race if we win these 5 games. But this season is just so difficult to predict, mate. I'm struggling week on week to know what we're getting from anyone.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's been slow for Arsenal. When we see Chelsea's fixtures, it's really good. Like, I think Leicester, Villa, Bournemouth, even Spurs will have goals you'd expect, in Brentford. Definitely feel like Cole Palmer's there. How do we feel about Haaland if you still own him, Dean? Because Spurs and Liverpool on paper is a really tough set, and Forest, tough set of 3 fixtures. But when you look at it and go, Spurs and Forest are home fixtures, and Spurs for an attacking team is a good fixture. They are not a top defence by any stretch. You'd argue that bottom half. In fact, let me just see where Spurs rank for expected goals conceded, seeing as I've got that chart in front of me. Okay, they're about mid-table. No, to be fair, they're better than I thought. They're 6th best. And then goals conceded, they're 7th or 8th. Okay, their underlying is not as bad as I thought it was. But I still think, given their injuries, Van der Ven could be out, Romero could be out. It's a good fixture for Haaland. But then obviously Liverpool's are tough. You could sell Haaland next week, but keep him for Spurs?
Keep him for Spurs for sure, yeah. With their defence in this state, and with Tottenham being unpredictable, you still got to be on Haaland to be okay in that sense. So I think, leave him for now. I would probably captain him if I had him, if I'm totally honest. I think I'd still captain him over Salah if I had him, just because you've got to make that money worthwhile. And now that people have started to jump off him, he's more of a differential than he was.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I'm not saying overall he would still count as that, but definitely a lot of people have been willing, me included, to jump off him, which I honestly didn't think I was going to do. You know that. Even the Liverpool fixture, easily be 1-1. Haaland scores the Man City goal, right? So, and then after that, you've got Forest, you've got Crystal Palace. You've got a Manchester derby, and you're like, okay, these are Haaland moment games when you need him and he can really push you on. And I think once we get to those Forest and Palace games is when I'll feel a little bit nervous about not owning him. So if you've got him still at that point, then I think you'll be good.
Yeah. Ange won't change. Like, Ange will come to the Etihad to play his high line, high risk football like you would expect. And I expect Spurs to score. And Spurs always give City problems, but I definitely expect City to score. Dean, you're always good at this. I don't know what app you use. Any chance you can have a look when I'm talking about my next team, what Haaland's record like against Spurs is? Have you got access to something like that? Can you check that out? And I'll give my 2 pence worth on Man United. Many are looking at Bruno this week, and I completely understand why. I think he's a good option. Ipswich and Everton is a great set of 2 fixtures, but just know if you're buying a Man United player that the journey's not going to be long. Like, I think you probably hit Arsenal, Forest, and City and go 8 point whatever. I probably don't want him. I feel like you've probably missed the boat. Is harsh. Bruno's a fine buy if you're willing for a 2-week punt. But the best entry point and the best fixture for Bruno was Leicester at home, and that's passed. Easy to say now because he hauled, but Dean and I have spoken about this at length. Like, we bought him probably with those 3 fixtures in mind. I might keep Bruno for 14 onwards, but I doubt I do. I think there's going to be plenty of other midfielders we want, and I'll be selling him in 14. So just err on the side of caution with Man United, unless you're looking for a short-term play. What you got for us?
Absolutely. Sorry, my internet's been so slow on my laptop. I'm trying to look this up on my phone now instead of on my laptop because it's being so slow. Haaland record against Tottenham Hotspur. 3 goals, 1 assist.
Okay. So that's 4 returns and probably only played them 3 or 4 times, I'd have thought. So
he's played 4 times. He's played 4 times and he's got 3 goals and 1 assist. Last season, in the away game, he scored twice. He didn't score against them at home. The season before that, he scored at home, but not away. So it doesn't take too much, to be honest with you. Yeah,
it's average for him a return a game against someone. But good to know. Guys, we'll have a look at our teams before we leave you. And we're still going to answer some questions. There's 300 of you watching, which is awesome, guys. Thank you for hitting that like button as well. I can see loads of you did with a little bit of encouragement. But we'd still love to get over 100 likes if you fancy. Just helps the algorithm. During the international break, we don't have to stream. A lot of content creators, myself included on my channel, aren't putting content out for a few days. So if you want to support us for going early on this, then please do. With those buttons. Dean, you're also doing the members vids as always in the international break. You in the WhatsApp group?
Yeah, I tell you what, the WhatsApp group even went quiet for a couple of days there. Everyone really did switch off, but it is taking off again now. There was actually a little poll going yesterday, just a general one. So Casey, one of our members, said, who's the better player overall? Hazard, Salah, Gareth Bale? Who would you have voted for?
Hazard in pure ability. Oh, Bale maybe. Oh, I don't know.
Hazard got no votes, mate. Nobody voted for Hazard. Salah
in terms of changing the game, Hazard number 1 for me.
Almost everyone voted for Salah.
I mean, Salah's numbers are insane, but Bale with his Champions Leagues, and Bale's done it in Champions League finals.
I know, it is a difficult comparison, isn't it?
Hazard for single-handedly winning football matches, though, no?
Yeah, I know. It's a really interesting question, and it's a good debate, actually. But anyway, that kind of sparked everyone back into life a little bit this week on there. So, yeah, don't forget, you can join us over in the members area. If you click on the homepage, you will find the link. If you can't find it on your phone, you might need to do it online because for some reason, iPhones struggle to identify it sometimes.
Salah for if I had to pick someone for my team, because he's just consistently sensational and robust. Hazard for that one off game where you go, who's got the highest ceiling in one game that can literally just go chicken oriental and run it. I think he's got the highest ceiling in a one-off game, but probably Bale for his moments in finals, like it's the overhead kick in a Champions League final, like Bale for... I don't know, natural ability. I think Hazard edges it. Bale and Hazard are a similar category, but yeah, tough one.
Yeah, look, Bale worked so hard to become who he was, to even get into that conversation. Like from a starting point, Bale was nowhere near what Hazard
pedigree
been,
of like a teenager.
Yeah, Yeah. But obviously just like built himself like kind of like a Ronaldo type trajectory in terms of like pure work, and got like obviously like bulked himself up, got all of the different attributes, and then was like just went on to heights that nobody thought possible. Whereas Hazard was always expected to get there. And Salah was too, but obviously had a bit of bump in the road where you weren't sure if he'd actually achieve it, and then he actually went and did it.
Yeah, I like that. Well summarised. What to do with Watkins? I think Watkins is a sell. I do, Eddie. He's just not. I think it's that Watkins has been fine. I just think the Villa attack, you can have a Morgan Rogers like this. Like obviously,
I don't know
Watkins
what it is
is
about Watkins. Yeah, he's definitely lost his vibe, hasn't he? At the moment, it's from an FPL standpoint, I'm not really even tempted by him.
No.
Nick says, "When do we move off from Burmo?"
Not for a while. I mean, it's because he's had a 5 and a 3 in the last 2 weeks, but. That's fine. He is only 7.9 million. You probably paid 7 for him, 7.1. He's got Everton and Leicester, and then Villa.
I've only just got on him, so I want him for a while now. I've finally decided I'm okay with having a Brentford player in my team, so I've got to stick with him for now. But I take the point. Like maybe perhaps Vista is the go-to Brentford guy at the moment, but Mbeumo has been very reliable, and if he continues at this rate, it wouldn't surprise me if Mbeumo is lining up for Arsenal or Liverpool or somebody like that next season, because his stats and his data are unbelievable over the past 2 seasons.
There we go. Shiraz says, what's Chelsea's XGC and XG? As I'm in the Scout members area at the moment, I can tell you, XGC, Chelsea are mid-table. They're bang on mid-table. So they've Liverpool and Forest and Arsenal are the best 3. In terms of expected goals, in terms of attack, XG, we'll see our teams in a second, guys. Stay tuned. Chelsea are 4th. So expected goals, City 22.2, Tottenham 21.6, Liverpool 20.45. And Chelsea 4th at 19.89. Guys, Bournemouth are 5th. And then Brentford, both higher than Man United, than Arsenal, Newcastle mid-table. So, Bournemouth and Brentford, underrated attacks so far this season, which is another reason why Burmo has to be a hold. Isak or Saka? We answered that one earlier, Sally. We both like Isak. Oh, no, we didn't answer that. We answered a similar one. Mohammed, should take -4 for Bruno Saka. No, I don't think I'll be taking 4-point hits. Let's quickly see our teams, because we've prepped graphics of our points to last week, but also just to give you our nod to where we're looking at like moving. So we don't need to run on the points because that's not healthy for anyone, is it, Gianni? No, with your Solanke 4. Thank you, captain. And Rico, I mean, look at those bench points. Mikolenko 6, Fabianski 9. I genuinely looked at starting both those players. Of course I did. So annoying. I think it was Big Man that said go Mikolenko over Lewis. And I think he may have done that exact thing. I wish I'd listened to him. In terms of my plans, I think I'm just selling Trent. I think I'm getting money out of Trent, going to someone like Lewis Hall. That then allows me Solanke to João Pedro or similar next week. And then it allows me Bruno to Salah in a couple of weeks when Bruno's fixtures turn. That's my loose plan. Means no Salah for Southampton, but you just can't have them all.
Absolutely. Yeah, sorry, I've got a bit of banging going on here. Someone doing some work in the other room. He's suddenly got a lot louder. So if you hear someone banging on the wall, that's what that is. Yeah, I mean, Rico Lewis is a weird one now, isn't it? I think that a lot of people will be losing trust in Rico Lewis. He's been a good own without actually giving us a lot. Those first 2-3 weeks of Rico Lewis were like, oh, what have we got here? We've got a goal-scoring midfielder suddenly for the price of like a fullback.
Still hasn't scored.
But, yeah, exactly. That day hasn't come. CH says chasing rats. Dean, no, there's no rats, but we have caught a mouse in the last couple of days. So that's.
You said about that one that you sealed up the thing, but one thing with mice, when you see one, you think there was just one. You go, there's rarely. That's what
everyone always says. Everyone always says there's never just one mouse, but. I don't know, in a few houses that I've ever lived in, like there has actually only been one. So anyway, we knew there was one around somewhere, hoping it was going in and out. Anyway, we caught a mouse 2 days ago, and I haven't seen one. We've still got traps out, and haven't caught anything else. So I'm hoping that's the end of it. I've put out the no entry signs. I've told them they're not welcome. So I'm hoping that the mice now they've lost a friend, that they realise that this is not the place to be. We did do it reasonably humanely, so we were good about it.
Good egg. I can't always say the same. Let's see your team then. Let's see your team.
Let's see the team. It'll be a good reminder for me.
Says Sean.
The cat, mate. We are still thinking about a cat, and in fact, I messaged someone this morning about a cat. So
a man about a cat.
I messaged someone about a cat this morning because there is someone posted on Facebook and clearly lives around the corner here, and they need to rehome a cat, and this cat actually looks really cute. So
the boys will love a cat as well.
They would, yeah. I made the mistake actually of mentioning it this morning before they went to school. So I think they think they're coming home to a cat, which they're almost certainly not. And she hasn't replied, so it's probably someone else has probably got it by now. Anyway, so this is my team. Solanke and Wood, 6 points between them. Not good enough. So yeah, disappointed with that. Might chop both of those two in. I've got 2 transfers to use this week, and with their fixtures against Arsenal and Man City, I am tempted to chop them both in. We'll see whether I do both, but at least one will be gone by Friday. CH thinks I'll have a cat by Friday. If I do, I'll be holding it up like a trophy on here to show you all. Will says, we're back. Yes, boys. Trent to Hall and Solanke to Isak, Jackson for -4, or just Johnson to Semenyo for free. Then go Foden to Saka next week for free. I'm always up for frees rather than anything else that's too crazy. But let me just try and take in what you said there.
I would stick with the frees. I like Trent to Hall. That's the move I'm making. I like Solanke to Isak or Jackson. I don't know if they're worth 4-point hits because I also.
Are you going to make up those 4 points?
I don't think you're doing. Semenyo is a player I really like. Like Semenyo is a great own for the festive period. Bournemouth's fixtures are great. Next week, you might want to do Foden to Saka. You might have a change of heart there, but it gives you options. Do the 4-point hit, and you don't have those options next week. Personally, I'd be hold. I do think Foden is a sell with De Bruyne back as well, but Semenyo's nice.
Yeah. Sean says I'm going to use my free transfer on a cat. Andrew says I should buy a ferret instead.
Peanut butter recommendations.
Yeah, there's peanut butter around this house, trust me.
1xG cat, says Jamie. Check the oven, says someone out. Like, this is great. Chris is on Wildcard.
Yeah, we've got a Brentford supporter.
Pedro. Or on Burmo and Isak. I think I'd go Salah and João Pedro. I do think Salah, like, if you're on Wildcard, you probably need to go there. I did make a Wildcard video a couple of weeks ago and didn't have him in. Got a lot of comments in the chat, rightly saying he's needed on Wildcard. So I think that's where I'm at. Guys, last question from Chat Sport. Trent, I think so. He's got a hamstring injury. We don't think he'll be fit. And even if he's not
good enough to hold anyway, if he's got a knock.
Yeah. And he's got Man City the week after. Great. And then it's Newcastle. Like, it's tough games after that for 2. It's too much money. Get rid.
Yeah. Get rid.
We'll ask Dean on Friday about Trent's future, so stay tuned for that, guys. Another question I want to know. So on Friday, we'll give you an update from Dean, who is the transfer man going into, of course, the transfer window, guys. And the cat man, update there too. Guys, thank you for watching. If you're watching on Catch Up, thank you for all your appreciation. We love you too. The producers always check the comments, so if you want to comment, do. Thank you for sharing this channel with your friends. Thank you for hitting those buttons on the way out. Please subscribe if you're one of those lurkers new around here. We'll see you with Big Man on Wednesday and back with Dean on Friday. Bye, guys.